I had to bet the situation will mostly continue because we need to understand what we've had for the last century. I sometimes call the conflict a battle of mutual exhaustion. Basically, the Arabs are trying to exhaust the Jews by wars, terrorism, international condemnations, lawfare, economic boycotts, into giving up, into basically saying, you know what, this is not worth it. The idea of a sovereign Jewish state requires too much effort. We constantly need to fight for it. We constantly need to defend ourselves militarily, economically, in international bodies. Not worth it. So the Arab anti-Zionism, the Arab efforts to get the Jews to give up the idea of a sovereign state, that's what they've been doing for the last century, trying to exhaust us to giving up. We are trying to exhaust the Arabs not to leaving because they are 60 times more numerous than us. As I said, since the 7th century, the Arab and Muslim conquests have been very successful. Well done to them. The Jews are destined or damned, choose your word, to remain a tiny, tiny, minute ethnic, linguistic, religious, national minority in an overwhelming Arab and Muslim Middle East. As long as we care about the land of Israel, we will not exhaust the Arabs and Muslims into leaving, but what we are trying to do is to exhaust them into finally letting us be, into finally telling, yes, we're going to live next to the Jewish state and we're going to stop investing so many efforts in trying to get you to give up and leave. Now, the conflict ends in one of two ways. Either there's no Jewish state. That has been the effort of the Arab world for the last century with their supporters, the Nazis, the Pan-Arabists, the Soviets, the Iranians, the Western Marxists. Or it ends with the Arab world finally letting the Jewish state be, flipping the prism from white settler, colonial, blah, 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 basically all synonyms for saying you got to go, to saying, Abraham, you actually belong here. Israel represents the historical connection between the Jewish people in this land. We accept you. We want to live next to you. No wars, no terrorism, no boycotts, no international condemnation. That's how the conflict ends. And the other way, anything that is not one of those two scenarios is what we've had for the last century. A war, a battle of mutual exhaustion that ebbs and flows, but ultimately is never resolved.